Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I think we could and should start our hearing today. So I would like to welcome the Commissioner-designate for the Portfolio of Financial Services, Financial Stability and the Capital Markets Union, Mrs. Mairead McGuinness, as well as members of the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee as the responsible lead committee for this hearing. I also would like to recall that in line with the guidelines for the approval of the Commission, Parliament evaluates Commissioners designate on the basis of their general competence, European commitment and personal independence. It also assesses the knowledge of their prospective portfolio and their communication skills. As you will be aware, the Commissioner designate had replied before the hearing in writing to a preparatory questionnaire. The written answers have been made available to members in all languages. The Committee on Legal Affairs have raised no objection to the holding of the hearing. As you can see, I'm chairing this meeting in person in the meeting room of the European Parliament, and the Commissioner-designate is also here in person. Some members of the committee are also present, while others will join remotely, including some who will ask questions of the Commissioner-designate. Let me briefly explain the structure of the debate. The Commissioner-designate is invited to make an opening oral statement of no longer than 15 minutes. She will then also have 5 minutes at the end of the meeting for a closing statement. After the introduction, there will be time for 25 questions from MEPs. The debate will be held in accordance with the slots of 5 minutes each, with 1 minute for question, 2 minutes for the answer from the candidate commissioner, and in case of follow-up questions, the question should not be longer than 1 minute, with 1 minute also for the reply. The first round of 7 questions will be asked by representatives of political groups. The second round of the remaining 18 questions is based on the overall distribution of questions among the political groups. Interpretation will be provided in 24 languages. All speakers can therefore use their own language. Speakers are reminded that what they say will need to be interpreted and that they should therefore not speak too quickly. Those joining remotely should remember to press the speak button before starting to speak. The debate will be streamed live on the Parliament's internet site, and it will also be possible to access a video recording of the hearing on the same site. So I would also like to ask members and the Commissioner-designate to respect the times allotted to them. As a rule, if the length of the first question consistently exceeds 1 minute, the possibility of follow-up will not be granted. So we can now start. I now give the floor to the Commissioner-designate, Mrs. McGuinness, for a presentation of 15 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Honourable Chair. And while you're behind me, I am delighted to see you physically present, and I'm delighted to see so many in this room. Before I start my formal speech, can I say that I have been given permission to leave my mask off during the presentation so that I think everyone is safe. But just in case there were some concerns, I have asked for and been granted permission. So let me start by saying, for many of you, and indeed for myself, it's very unusual to be present in Brussels on Friday. You know, when I'm normally in my constituency on these days, I meet businesses, fishermen, farmers, other groups and schools. And I suppose what I try to do is make our European Union more tangible and accessible. But I always bring their concerns back here to the Parliament. Some of you will know that I've served 16 years in this House, and now, subject to your approval, I look towards a new challenge. Since my nomination, I've engaged with this committee, and I want to thank you for sharing your concerns and your expectations. Our work as members of this Parliament is never easy, as we strive to reach consensus, but mutual respect and listening are key. In this House, I've covered many different policy areas, from unfair trading practices in the food supply chain to reforming legislation on medical devices, Brexit, and indeed the future of Europe. But in my very first mandate, one of the big issues I dealt with was a financial one. From 2006 to 2007, I chaired a special parliamentary committee of inquiry into the crisis at the Equitable Life Assurance Society. I can still recall distressed policyholders from many member states making contact with me. That experience frames my approach to financial issues, putting people front and centre. My vision for financial services centres on ensuring the sector's strength and stability for its own sake, but also so it can deliver for society and indeed now for sustainability and our environment. My most recent legislative work is on climate law, which will be voted in plenary next week. If confirmed, I will contribute with a renewed sustainable finance strategy. This will be fundamental for the Union and Member States to achieve ambitious climate targets. I'm honoured to have been put forward by Ireland as Commissioner-designate and by President von der Leyen to the Financial Services, Financial Stability and Capital Markets portfolio. If confirmed, I will be joining a gender-balanced college of commissioners, and I look forward to continuing the work of Valdis, working collectively with the college, supporting college positions in the interests of the Union and all European citizens. So people are at the heart of my vision to fulfil the tasks in my mission letter. A banking union that provides stability for households and SMEs, a capital markets union at the service of all, a financial system that serves society holistically and takes seriously its responsibility to address climate and environmental challenges, a new digital finance strategy that stimulates innovation while being alert to the risks, a fair financial system with zero tolerance for money laundering, a strong financial sector that supports Europe's place in an ever uncertain world, and above all else, a financial system that underpins a more inclusive society. Almost a year ago to the day, at his hearing, Executive Vice President Dombrovskis set out his agenda for financial services. It will be my responsibility, if you approve my nomination, to continue this agenda. However, the context has changed fundamentally. 1 million people have died of COVID-19. Our world has gone from strong growth and employment to severe disruption to our way of life and our economy. Many have lost their jobs, in particular young people. The crisis we face is challenging, and because we do not know the path of the virus, the road ahead is uncertain. And as you've heard this morning, the virus doesn't discriminate. It can attack young and old, the powerful and the weak. And that's why we need to have a very united stand, both in terms of how we address the health issue, but also in terms of how we deal with the economic consequences. I think it's important to say that our Member States reacted swiftly to protect public health and support our economy and society through wage subsidies and business support measures. EU leaders reached a landmark political agreement on the Next Generation EU fund of €750 billion, signalling unprecedented EU support for the recovery and a holistic demonstration of solidarity. As this committee knows, on the financial services side, central banks and supervisors took big steps to allow the financial sector to stabilise the economy. The Commission proposed a banking package to enable banks to keep lending, which you agreed to in record time. The Capital Markets Recovery Package, now on the table, will make it easier for capital markets to support European businesses. But we know that some companies will not recover, and that financial institutions will face an increase in non-performing loans, which we must prepare for. This will receive my highest attention if you choose to confirm me. But let's be very clear, this is not 2008. Banks were part of the problem then. They are now part of the solution, with stronger levels of capital and liquidity. And we can see the positive impact of the regulatory framework implemented after the global financial crisis. The work of the EU institutions, not least this committee, was and is key in creating a more stable financial system.